Nutrition Depot, your fitness fuel.
Welcome to part 2 of the Natural Bodybuilding episode by Nutrition Depot podcast. Again, thank you so much for having us. We're so excited for the NBA Universe happening in November. And my name is Ken, and we're still with Jacob, Bella, and Grant. Thank you guys for being here. We talked a lot about natural bodybuilding in general in the previous part of the episode. Right now, punta tayo sa mga konting mga masaya na details about your journey and maybe how natural bodybuilding is influencing the fitness industry dito sa Pilipinas. But by the way, NBA Universe, just to be able to let people know, NBA Universe is actually the international championships of the NBA. It's not necessarily a local competition. It just so happens that the international championships is happening here in the Philippines. And we're looking forward to seeing international athletes fly in to compete in the best show, natural bodybuilding show in the country. So with that, I want to ask, in terms of your experience at NBA, I'm sure may particular thing na nag-stand out during the competition, right? During the competition, maybe also during your prep of the competition, but maybe hopefully let's say during show day, marami naman mga wow experience at wow mali experience or whatever. I'd like to know what those are. Because it's gonna speak to kung ano magiging experience siguro na mga athletes who want to join for the first time. Just to let them know that stuff like this can happen. Let's start off with you, Grant. Was there any particular thing that happened during the competition that really stood out to you? Personal experience wise, not necessarily the competition in general, but for you.
Nothing on like the comedic side.
Not the comedic side.
No whoopsies, I think.
Okay.
It's more like what stood out to me was that I had how many athletes on that day?
Wow.
6 or 7.
Oh,
like 6 or 7 athletes on that day. And I kind of just tagged along into the show. Like while it was kind of easier for me to manage them while I was doing it myself. Does that make sense? Because I can see like, we're 5 minutes away from stage. Like I can anticipate it better because I'm there. Like right there.
I want to talk about that kasi grabe yan, no? Magko-compete ka na nga, may 7 athletes, 6 or 7 athletes ka pa.
Can't remember the exact number.
I mean, guys, that's just to let you know, that's not normal. Right? Usually if you're a competitor, you focus on yourself. In fact, if you're going to have help, that help will focus on you so that you don't have to focus on anything else. But for you, sir, Mr. Super Tenured Athlete, how was that? How was juggling having to make sure your athletes look their best while you look your best as well?
Well, it wasn't so bad. I mean,
Sana all.
I allowed my athletes to be like the priority, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't I focused on myself too. I made sure that I would be on stage. Still, I would not necessarily looking my best naman. Like I just had to make sure na okay, I was presentable. I'd be okay na. Kasi I know my formula for myself.
Okay. Yeah.
And then for my athletes naman, especially for some of them na first show, diba? Or some athletes na second, third shows. I just sila yung talagang focus ko kasi I know like how much they've worked for this, diba? So again, they were the priority. I am just like tagging along, making sure everything's flowing for them. And then also sobrang helpful for me na I've had other athletes who weren't competing at the show na naki-assistant. So they were helping with pump up. Like I would assign them like, okay, this is your athlete for like you're pulling the resistance band for him. You're the one who's gonna pass in the water. Kumbaga I had runners pa.
Grabe sistema.
Okay, yeah. There was some, like significant amount of planning involved.
Nice. Now, that was on you. Like, I'm pretty sure when, how many athletes did you have that competed for the first time? Among those athletes, I'm pretty sure you observed some things during their time during the competition. Did anything stand out in terms of how you think they experienced their first show?
Um, I didn't think Jacob would be so spaced out during the show.
Talaga. Ay, hindi. Sige nga, mamaya na siya natin pag-usalit.
Gusto ko nga i-bring up sa kanya, talk about yung natatanga ako. Pero, ayun na.
Yeah, so what about it? How was it? How was it?
It's kind of easy to manage when it's not the first time or like mga second or third time. Gets na nila na gagawin nila eh. But for Jacob, dude, no, it wasn't like fine. He wasn't really that spaced out. He was just being a social, he was just being an extrovert. I don't know how he could be an extrovert when you're dieting down and stuff.
Oh, you're that
He was
kind of
just there,
person.
He's just standing the whole time. I'm like, dude, you gotta chill out, or you're gonna flatten out if you keep walking around and talking to everyone. And then mga 2 to 3 minutes later, he's somewhere else again. Dude, stay there.
Honestly, but actually, I completely understand. Kasi some people, actually, I'm one of them. Well, not anymore. Dati, when stress is involved, and make no mistake, there's a lot of stress involved during competition if you're competing, not just physically but also mentally. And one thing that happens to me, or used to happen to me when I'm stressed, I compensate by extroverting. I compensate because it's sort of a soothing mechanism eh. So parang that's interesting. Pag-usapan natin yan mamaya. So what about you, Bella? Ano yung medyo nag-stand out? One specific experience during the competition itself.
Pinaka nag-stand out sa show, like yung I'd say yung hosting mo. Yun talaga pinaka nag-stand out sa akin.
Ako.
Hindi kasi for real. As in,
Galing.
galing talaga. And
Thank you. I appreciate
like,
it. Appreciate it.
you really hype the athletes. And like yung other shows na parang, oh, sige, number, ganyan. Tapos after like 10, 15 seconds, alis. You really did like
Tsaka
hype
non-stop yun, no?
Oo,
I
diba?
appreciate it. Yeah.
Like morning
12
to night.
hours.
Mm-mm.
Non-stop
Tapos
talking.
na yun sa gabi.
But thank you. I appreciate it. I have a heart for the athletes. Then this is hindi to plug ha. But one of the things that we do in NBA Universe is that even the day before, kasi diba usually competition is Saturday and we have a pre-registration on Friday, and we would always have an orientation. I would in particular would always lead on the tawag dito? Orientation, and we always want to show all the athletes that our hearts are for them. Diba? And we can't guarantee that people are going to win. Obviously, there are going to be winners and losers, right? And the reason why I say losers, kasi I purposely would say it that way during orientation. So to do two things. Number one, to make light of that particular situation, that particular, if you lose, losers, but it's part of the game. Some of us are going to lose. All of us have experienced losing one time or another. We don't know if today is going to be one of them. But at the very least, we want every athlete to know that one thing we can guarantee is you are going to have fun on stage. You're going to feel that the prep was worth it at the very least in terms of being able to showcase all your hard work on stage. And I think, thank you, I appreciate again yung sinasabi mo, because that's one of the things that we actively try to do to stand out from the rest, is to make sure that truly the athletes are at the heart of the competition, regardless of who's going to win. Kumbaga, almost secondary na yung pag-award ng placings, mas priority namin na habang nandyan sila nagpa-perform in front. So, I appreciate that. But again, ulitin ko, what about you? Experience mo. Ikaw mismo. Anong one of the core memories during NBA Universe for you?
One of the core memories, aside sa mismong routine and all, siguro yung backstage with all the other bikini girls and like everybody's friends with each other. Tapos, like, yun, we nagchichigahan kami, we share food, we like retouch each other's makeup. So, yun, isa sa mga
Mas chill, mas less stress in a sense na
parang they're not your competitors. They're like your sisters then.
Oh, that's cool. That's nice. That's nice to hear. I know of some competitions na nangyayari, nawawala yung bikini nila kasi ninanakaw. And this is when I say I know of, this is like years ago. So this is like years ago, a decade ago. I know those things na parang nawala na ng bikini.
Sabotage talaga.
Sabotage talaga.
Paano
Ganun.
siya sumampa?
Ewan ko, hindi, wag mo nang tanungin. Hindi ko na inalam. but this is to be able to, highlight that one because I'm glad. That's so nice for me to hear as part of the organizing team. So I appreciate that. Naka 2 points ka na sa akin, Bella. Masyado kong iniisip yung mga sinasabi mo. But thank you, I appreciate it. What about you, Jacob?
Memorable experiences.
Yeah,
And
core memories.
and lessons learned siguro.
Yes, please. Yeah.
The first one was yung memorable. Syempre, I won. I mean, I did not
Absolutely.
expect it.
Yeah.
I did not expect it. Kasi you go, lalo na first show mo, you go into these things without expectation. Kasi you'd be a fool if you'd expect na parang, mananalo ko dito. I've seen some people talk that way na parang, mananalo ko dito. Tapos pag hindi manalo, ganito lang kasi, may excuses na. Di ba? Yung parang ganito lang kasi prep ko. Parang ginugulo kasi ako na tong person na to, ganyan. My family was there. Parang,
Yung judges kasi.
parang may ganun na rin. But like, you have to go into these things without expectations. Like, you'd probably think, siguro, if how well you look, you'd have an objective view na, I could place. I could do well.
Correct.
But you can
That's
never say na, I will win. Na, ako mananalo na sa category to, ganyan. So, just be humble and, like, do your best. Yun yung memorable. Kasi, yeah, winning is memorable, pero it's one show. There's always gonna be a next one if you do decide to go the next one. Pero memorable siya, and like, I would take that pa rin to the next show. Na, huwag mo assume na mananalo ka, regardless of if you put in the work ng prep or ng off-season.
I like what you said, no. And I want to say this to those people who are listening. Maybe some of the
Kasi maraming bago eh.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe some of them are watching or listening to this right now. And one thing that I one advice that I want to give you guys, or no, I want to talk about what you just said. I think it takes a special kind of maturity to be able to do your best, but not be overly cocky.
Yeah.
To think that your best can beat everyone.
Yeah.
But at the same time, have that awareness of, yung tulad na sinabi mo, I can place. Very practical, very, very fact-based na you're looking at people, because you would know naman eh. You would know by looking at the people that you're competing with, it's like, kaya to. Now, nasa judges na lang yung results nito, pero kaya to. So, my advice for those of you who plan to compete for the first time, number one, find out how you're going to be able to compete. Maybe find a team, find a coach, find a community. Research at the same time if, let's say, medyo yun lang ang kaya natin. Because it will entail a bit of cost, right? But at the same time, if it's your first time, then the goal, my opinion lang to, this is my personal opinion, the goal should be to be able to experience the sport. Because the sport is beautiful if you see how it really is. Because most people who tend to compete, most people who tend to be disappointed when they compete for the first time often look at the wrong thing and they look at the agad, parang mag-first place ako. Even if, let's say, may chance ka nga mag-first place, you'll never know.
Yep.
You'll never know. So why sabotage your future in the sport by having unnecessary expectations when all you need to do is do your best and make sure your system is in place, your team is in place, that you put yourself in the best situation possible to be able to win, instead of saying na, I'm gonna win. Now maybe some of you it's gonna work. Hey, but it's up to you. But I'm just saying that for most people, it's going to be very smart to just focus on the things that you can control instead of having to look on that. Kasi mahirap na maging disappointed, no?
You never know who shows up.
Yeah, you never know. Baka mamaya
So,
biglang
showed up.
You know what, wala.
Parang pag makita mo siya kahit sa bodybuilding, okay. Sige.
Okay, second na labanan dito.
Parang yung second naging first place na sa paningin ko.
right. So, yeah, love it. I love it. And you guys did awesome. Okay, so one of the things that we're going to do is I was told that we're gonna talk about a few more details about the sport in general. So may mga surprise questions para sa atin si Nutrition Depot, no? and I'm just gonna wait for them to give me the cards. But what I'd like you guys to do is when we get these questions, I'm sure kasi these questions are some of the things that are here are the questions. These are probably things that sabi nila is ito yung mga iniisip ng mga tao, right? And this podcast is all about education also, to help people in their path to competing for the first time, or competing for the second time, or competing to be a pro. There are a lot of people who are here listening. So let's see if we can shed some light when it comes to natural bodybuilding. Ayan, shed some light talaga. Here's the first question. What are some... I feel like Boy Abunda. You know?
Fast talk.
Fast talk. Sex or chocolate? So yeah, here we go. First question. All of you can answer this, maybe, but you don't have to because there's a lot of questions here. First question is, what are some myths and misconceptions when it comes to natural bodybuilding? Myths and misconceptions. Anything. May mga naiisip ba kayong ganun? Is there like, wala? Like, what do you think of natural bodybuilding in general, Bella?
Ano ba?
Para kasi nag-compete ka lang for the first time, di ba? Tapos natural bodybuilding. Unang pumasok ka, may mga nagbubulong ba sa'yo of what natural bodybuilding is about or how it really is? May mga ganun ba?
I guess people just tell me na yun yung harder route.
Harder route.
Yeah.
Okay, then would that be a myth or a misconception to our guys on the bench?
Yeah.
What would you say to that?
I agree.
You agree?
I agree.
I mean, I agree that it's a myth.
You agree
Like
that it's a myth?
A misconception.
That it's not necessarily the harder route.
For me, I personally, I don't think it's the harder route.
Okay.
It's the very straightforward route.
Yeah. Contrary
Okay,
to popular belief.
Okay. Can you expound?
All right. So
that?
it's the variables that we have for natural bodybuilding. It's just training, nutrition, let's just say your recovery, things like that, diba? Whereas you don't really have to think about your blood work so much, or let's say
Yeah, that's
other
right.
like additional health risks or timing, diba, na kailangan tuloy-tuloy siya.
In a sense, mas simple nga pala siya, no?
Yeah,
Because there's less considerations, ano?
Wala kang mga
cost,
dosage. Ganun.
So less considerations, less cost,
Yeah.
less things to think about.
Less health risk too, diba?
Tama ka eh. On a practical note, kasi pagdating sa blood work, for example, di ba? I do know na those who go the non-natural route, aside, iniisip na nga nila yung prep food nila, iniisip na nga nila yung training regimen nila, iisipin pa nila yung blood work nila based on whatever compounds that they're gonna use. So,
And they have
tama ka,
to adjust, diba?
nagdagdag ka pa ng iisipin, ano? Interesting.
And how they all play together, diba? Like you have more specific food choices. Syempre how they interact. So I think it's like for us it's just we can do flexible.
simpler.
We can be flexible and it's pretty simple lang, diba? Straightforward siya. Mahirap siya kasi mas matagal, tsaka you don't get like extra boosts. But it's easier in a sense that there's just less to think about.
Here's something, ito hindi ako knowledgeable dito. So I'm curious, maybe you can answer this, Grant. No? Pagdating kasi, for example, what if you are using enhancements, right? If you're using PEDs, does that affect the kind of food that you eat in terms of hindi ka na ba pwede talaga let's say, flexible dieting? Hindi na ba
I don't
pwede
think
yan?
so. Well, I'm not enhanced, so like I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Maybe you gotta ask the enhanced.
But
guy.
you're smart.
I'm not that smart. But no, I don't think it's a. I'm sure they can still do flexible diet. You'll
Okay.
see some of the top enhanced guys still doing flexible dieting and stuff. diba?
Okay.
But I assume there's gonna be a little more restriction, especially depending on like what the dosage
Kasi
is.
compound yan eh. Na-natural compound yan eh. Baka mamaya mag-react siya differently with whatever else that you're putting into your body. Ano?
Yeah, you'll have to keep trying, but sometimes you'll react differently. I guess same naman like if you're a natural, like you can't just suddenly throw in like deep into your prep. You can't just suddenly throw in talaga like something you haven't eaten in a decade. Diba? You're still gonna try to slowly introduce it and then check for any differences in. Kunyari nagda-diet ka biglang, oh, I haven't had this vegetable in years. Just magtataka ka na lang bigla. Why am I?
Nag-bloat ka.
Yeah, like why am I bloating? Why am I holding so much?
Yeah.
And like why haven't I
understand.
taken a dump in 5 days?
Yeah.
Again, wala kaming alam. I mean, we don't know. This is all speculation when it comes to that. But yeah, I like that one. What about you? What do you say about the myths of natural bodybuilding, Jacob?
Siguro, I've been hearing or like being told, lalo na sa mga YouTube comments ko na before I've seen na, hindi natural yan, nag-whey protein. It's kind of...
Classic
Yeah.
comments.
I'm sorry for laughing, guys. Maybe some of you are listening. I'm so sorry. You have to remember. Teka, mag-disclaimer muna ako. Baka mamaya ibash ako. I've been in fitness for like 20 years, and I've been there also. I thought that whey protein is not natural. But that was on year 1, and year 20 na ako. Natawa lang ako sa sarili ko. But go ahead, explain.
I get that perspective naman. So,
Yeah.
I guess the person who believes yung mga ganun, I guess yung knowledge niya wouldn't be so, like siguro fairly new.
Sure.
Because like, I don't know, man, like whey and everything, they're like
The
foods.
creatine, they think
They're food
creatine is a drug.
supplements, man.
Food supplements.
Like
Supplements, yeah.
the entire purpose of like natural bodybuilding, they have this banned list,
Yeah.
and like, syempre you base it off there. So wala, like I'm just not like, I think it's a myth to say or misconception na hindi na enhanced na yan dahil nag-creatine yan,
Yeah.
pre-workout.
Yeah.
Yun. I think that's
When it
the
comes to
big one.
that, natural bodybuilding in general, what just to educate our listeners now, natural bodybuilding in general would always base it off of list of drug associations like WADA, World Anti-Doping Association. Tama ba yung ano ko? And if anyone uses anything from that list, our drug tests will find it. Parang yan ang mangyayari. Guys, wala pong whey protein sa list. There's no whey protein. There's no creatine. Now, let's try to make it layman's terms. So in layman's terms, bakit hindi sila kasama sa list? Because whey protein is technically food, right? It's food that was turned into powder into a drink. It's like Milo. Na may malt, may sugar. It just so happens na ito galing sa isolated protein or whey protein naging chocolate or vanilla or whatever drink, which by the way, you can go ahead and purchase your supplements in Nutrition Depot. You can go to all our sites all around all their sites all around Metro Manila and outside of Metro Manila, all around the Philippines, for the best supplements out there. But again, my super layman's terms way of being able to explain that is if you take these things, it coincides or it works with the natural system of your body. It doesn't alter anything.
Yeah.
It's technically food.
It does not like alter your hormones in any way.
Yan. Although hormones medyo iba rin yan sa babae, 'di ba? Kasi usually I don't know if you can explain this. You don't need to explain this in detail, but I do know if women, if they drop the carbs a lot, hormones will all of a sudden they're gonna start screaming, and that's why kailangan itaas ng konti yung fat. Tama ba? Something like that. Did you experience anything like that during your prep?
Not really, kasi
Not
hindi
really.
naman ako like nag-drop ng carbs ng
Okay.
way too low.
Okay. So I hope that answers some of the myths. And so, guys, one myth is supplements are not.
Natural.
No, they are natural.
I mean,
Cut natin yan.
Just whey.
Are not non-natural. Yeah, dagdagan natin. Are not non-natural. Supplements are fine, right? They are not part of the banned list in the World Anti-Doping Association. Okay, let's go to the next question.
gotta confuse
Next
the
surprise.
listeners.
Huh?
Gotta confuse the listeners.
Listen carefully para hindi kayo maggoyo. Okay, next question. With the increasing accessibility of advanced training techniques and nutritional strategies, do you believe it's possible for natural bodybuilders to attain physiques that rival those of enhanced athletes or counterparts? Jacob. Jacob, ikaw muna.
I feel like there are levels to this. So I feel like some natural physiques can rival some enhanced physiques. But at the end of the day, I don't think a natural physique could rival the top Olympians. Ganon.
Pangmatalino sagot. Yes.
Kaya ng ibang, because I've seen, si Grant has seen the freaks, the natural top level
Grant has
freaks.
beaten. Grant has
exactly,
beaten
actually,
some
yeah.
a lot of enhanced athletes.
Yeah.
Grabe yun. Very impressive.
So
They've
yeah,
lost to other
from
natural
that,
athletes.
Oh, that's true too.
from that alone, kaya. But may levels to it eh. Now, yeah, you could beat someone if you're like Grant, diba? Pero may limit din to who you can challenge in a if you're natural and enhanced kalaban mo. And it's also really dependent on maraming factors talaga.
Too many factors to name.
we-
Yeah, too many factors to name.
But like it's possible.
Yeah.
May levels lang.
Do you agree?
Grant?
You were nodding. Yeah. In
I
agreement?
will say, I think if they're both using the same knowledge base, that same growing knowledge base, then definitely the enhanced guys can have the advantage, like big time. But the reason why
yeah.
you can sometimes get away with it, that you're a
You
natural,
know more.
yeah, like if you're a natural beating some of the enhanced guys, it's usually because they're still stuck in their same old methodology. diba?
Interesting.
There has been no changes for the past 1 to 2 decades of their training, and even if they've been competing again year after year after year, diba? Walang off season na maayos, and yung buhat nila parang ganun pa rin, diba? Chill pa rin sila, and they expect na they don't actually expect that they're getting better every year. They just want to do it to do the show. Kaya yan, matatalo mo yun as a natural sometimes. But if you're a natural, doing everything you can, and you're taking in the research, trying to understand stuff, going through the proper process, if you compare that to the enhanced guy who's doing the same thing, doing the same amount of work, even more, diba? And is practicing the same like mental processing, then wala. I think in that sense, di mo matatalo.
Got it. So it has a lot to do with being smart about it, being a student of the game. I
And
think
sometimes having to be smarter.
smarter. Yeah. Tama. Yeah, because competing is a whole different level from just being fit, you know? So if you want to compete at the highest level, you need to learn at the highest level as well, right? I want to ask the next question kay Bella, kasi I'm interested in what you have to say with regards to this one. The next question is, how do you respond to critics? Guys, I would assume that all of you identify yourselves as natural bodybuilding advocates, right? And we believe that this is the way to go, at least in terms of where you are right now. So
Preference din.
in terms of preference, right? So here's a question: how do you respond to critics who claim that even in the natural bodybuilding community, there might be instances of undisclosed substance use?
Wait, ulit.
Yeah.
Wait, ulit.
Ulit. It's more like anong reaction mo sa mga fake nati? Parang ganun. Na hindi na sinasabi. Kasi ang dami. Sumikat yung term na yun eh.
Is this like parang di nila din disclose?
Yeah, not disclosed.
Ah.
Yeah.
I guess they're just making a fool of themselves. Kasi like, it's pretty obvious that they're not natties. Tapos they'll join a natty show. Tapos parang pag-usapan sila behind their back. So,
How do you feel as an individual when people do that?
ang unfair eh. Yeah, it's pretty unfair. And siguro the Fed just has to like make sure that these fake natties can't enter. So that dyan darating yung like yung testing and stuff.
Actually, a lot of people would ask me, it's like, what are your opinions pagdating sa mga nag-enhance? Very simple na naman ang sagot ko. Sasabihin ko, bahala sila. Diba? Bahala sila. Because I have a lot of friends who are enhanced, and I really don't mind if that's what they want to do. But wag lang sa natural competition sumali. Diba?
Yeah.
Let's have a clear line. I support you there. Support our sport also here. And I'm actually I'm happy also that there are some coaches who do compete in the enhanced, but they do legitimately coach natural athletes. That's a good thing. That to me, that's like wow. But we're expanding our horizons also, you know, because I do believe that the sport of bodybuilding in general, natural or non-natural, it's still a sport that that can you know, really bring people together also, and they just celebrate bodybuilding, showcasing bodies, beautiful bodies in general, you know. So yeah, I like what you said. Dapat a lot of people need to be able to, you know, put that make that line clear. If I'm gonna be natural, let's be truthful. I think integrity is such an important thing. Pagdating din, you boys agree? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You have any comment on this question?
A little ano lang. No, it's usually it's an ego trip eh. If kunyari you try to use stuff and join a natural competition and try to hide it, it's more for ego than anything else. Because like I feel like they're just trying to prove something that siguro they want to, I don't know, they'll use the advantage to get the spotlight or something like that. And I notice also with certain, let's say, people that I've heard of and I've seen and like, let's say, nahuli or what,
Yeah.
it's in relation to the character also, like how they portray themselves. I would understand why they did that. Parang, okay, this person seems like the type to do something like this.
Well, it kind of defeats the purpose also. Kasi,
Yeah.
you know, if, well, then it talks about why they joined the competition or bodybuilding in
yeah.
the first place. What's your main motivation for actually even bodybuilding? So that's for another conversation. So yeah, let's go to the next question. We've got 3 questions left. Next question. In light of the popularity of social media, do you think the drive for likes and followers has influenced natural bodybuilders to prioritize aesthetics over health and longevity? Medyo malalim tong tanong na to, ha? Do you think may ganong factor right now na they focus on aesthetics over health and longevity to be able to get likes and followers?
Is this within the natural scene or the
Well,
whole
maybe in
fitness?
general. Maybe in general. Let's talk about in general. Yeah.
So to rephrase, it's like people will do whatever it takes just to
Look good.
Look good. and
Maybe
get
let's
likes.
let's go that route and go the other route later.
Yeah, no, I feel like this is like a 2-part question. You know.
Yeah,
Like,
it is. It is.
Is it for the likes or is it to get like?
I think it's for the likes, and
Okay,
followers.
So we're doing
Yeah.
for the likes. Yeah, I mean you'll see it, but then again, if we're talking about bodybuilding or fitness in general, I guess.
Yeah.
I can't really say fitness is equals to health.
Yeah.
That's an honest. Maybe that's also another going back.
Medyo weird yan. Medyo weird yan to some people.
Yeah,
Pero yes.
it's a weird thing to think about, and it's also something that goes back to the misconceptions and stuff. But like bodybuilding, some forms of fitness. I mean, obviously, like they're not necessarily healthy. Sometimes not short term, sometimes not long term. If we're gonna talk about bodybuilding, just getting into like really low levels of body fat, but that's not necessarily safe. Actually, it's really not safe and it's not sustainable. Not for your physical health, not for your mental health. Diba? You'll the longer you try to stay within like 5% body fat, like the more dangerous it is for you, like short term, long term.
I think I want to go straight to that one since you transitioned to that because that's the second to the last question. Pero real quick about this one, do you guys do the sport for the likes or the followers? No. What do you do it for, Bella? For yourself. In what way? In what way? Because look, here's the thing, and this is the honest truth. You know, a lot of people don't understand that. Because a lot of people, because of social media, they are so conditioned to do social media to be able to get attention, to be able to get more likes, and to be able to get more followers. And fewer people are actually able to say what you're saying with all honesty. So what do you mean by doing it for yourself?
Kasi to be honest, I don't really care about the likes and the followers. I'm just keeping myself low-key. So I did bodybuilding just to like see what I'm capable of, and it makes me feel good. So ayun, the followers and the likes just come if nandyan. If wala, okay.
Yeah, I wish more and more people would be able to do that. No?
Tama.
Yeah. There's more. Real life is outside of the likes and the followers, right? It's also real life na competition, like you said, low body fat. Medyo pwede natin pag-usapan yan in terms of health. May kasama yan sa conversation in terms of actual healthy lifestyle, right? So here's the second to the last question. As mentioned earlier, some competitors have very low body fat. Oh, parang nabasa niya yung yung future.
Wow.
You just said it.
Oh,
It's the
man.
first sentence.
I have never seen these questions before. I actually never have seen these
No.
questions before.
Trust me. Surprise to.
That's what you call good coaching skills.
Yeah. So here's the question. So some may argue there is nothing natural about having very low body fat, and it comes with risk. If that's the case, why not just go the enhanced route, since that tends to be more rewarding career-wise or in terms of the sport? This is probably medyo nakakonect siya with the attention that you get.
Sure.
Diba? So what's your... let's start with Jacob. What's your thoughts pagdating dito?
I feel like the topic of using PEDs, performance enhancing, and low body fat, magkaiba yun eh. Because there are certain health risks associated with getting to a significantly low body fat percentage. If both enhanced and naturals can do that, wag mo nang, kunwari, like yung isa, basically dinadagdagan mo pa ng isa pang health risk by taking substances. Diba? So, I feel like it's a different... They're both, admittedly, getting to extremely low body fat percentages for show, stage lean, skull face, death face.
Skeletor.
Is not really, it's not healthy. It's really not. It's not, you can achieve it naturally, but it's not a natural state that, it's not where you should be for the length of, your life, or hindi rin possible eh. So, ayun, but if you would rather, yung reason why mo for doing it is the main difference eh. Kung, kunyari, low body fat ka naturally and low body fat ka enhanced, the fact na you take kasi, it's a different why eh. Maybe the person, like for example, us, we don't really, I think di naman namin kailangan ng sumikat na sumikat. Diba na, that's why we do bodybuilding. It's for us and not for the fame, right? So, there are some people who do enhanced bodybuilding kasi syempre their dreams are to become IFBB pros, step on Olympia stage, which is totally respectable.
Sure.
Pangarap niya yun eh. Diba? And like, yan yung... That's the highest level I feel like you can achieve in the bodybuilding scene eh. And good luck trying to get there naturally, di ba?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yun yung difference. Yung why mo rin na, for us, like we like to compete as naturals, kahit sabihin mong hindi siya as, mainstream as the whole enhanced scene, because we don't look at that naman eh. Parang it's not about na sisikat kami from that, but more of, we love it. Like I enjoy it. Like for my case, I started bodybuilding nga when I was already a YouTuber. May following na ako eh. So, it was a different route. So,
Talaga? Hindi ka pa bodybuilder na nag-YouTube ka? Nung nag-start
for
ka?
fun lang yun.
Oh.
Papogi-pogi lang.
For the likes.
Another question about that.
Baliktad. So baliktad. When I was starting out, I was already in a way may validation yung likes, views. Pero when I got into bodybuilding, it became less about the likes and more like I enjoy this
Mm-hmm.
Kaya nga parang even when it comes to content creation, mas gusto kong i-focus yung na-enjoy ko. And it's not for the likes Kasi if I wanted the likes or the I'd stay gen pop side na lang na puro basic stuff. Diba?
Yeah.
Yun lang.
What about you, Grant?
I'll go like a slightly deviate from that from that side of the question, diba? If we're just talking about we're still talking about the body fat question, diba?
Yeah. Let's pull it back. Yeah, kasi ang
It was a
argument
long question,
dito is like if may risk na yung low body fat, why not do enhanced na rin since may risk naman na rin, because if you do enhanced then you'll probably look better. There's like
Sure.
the
Okay,
risk
get
to
it,
reward
I get it,
ratio,
I get it.
diba? Parang
Okay,
ganun.
that's one. How long are you actually gonna be that low in body fat? Like, you can try to keep it, it's not gonna stay, diba?
Yeah.
Like within the week after your show, you're probably binging already, unfortunately, diba? But number two is that, have you ever seen like a sport that you want to get at the highest level?
Correct.
There are going to be extremes, diba?
Yeah.
You're never gonna have you're never gonna be in a comfort zone forever.
Olympians
Yeah.
don't
I
look
mean,
the
not-
same during Olympic week Olympic week
Yeah,
as compared to
let's
Christmas.
talk about both the Olympia, diba? And even like Olympic athletes.
Yeah, Olympic
diba?
athletes.
Even Olympic athletes, I think.
Magsha-shred yan.
Yeah, and they're getting real in deep condition, diba? And
Yeah.
that's also not healthy sometimes, you know,
Correct.
like how they train, like it's bad for your like mental health na yun nga hindi mo rin talaga kaya siya na tuloy-tuloy na yung season mo na it's the whole year round forever. You can't do that. There's really like phases in which you have to push harder than usual. And if you try to do that forever, you're gonna break, diba?
Yeah.
So it's a matter of like being intelligent in terms of knowing when to push and knowing when to hold back or to pull back, diba?
Yeah, and it also, that's why it's called peak. Like
Yeah.
peak week that culminates with a show day. All right, because all of that is systematized, which is which is this is for those of you who want to compete now. Make sure, like I said, I always encourage you guys to find a coach, find a community, find people that's going to be able to help you, because that week, if you want to make sure that you're at your best, there has to be a proper system in place, which is also which has direct correlation to how safe you're going to be able to prep. Okay, so it's very, very important. So meaning would you basically, you're basically saying na no, hindi naman kailangan mag-enhance just because may risk. Picking up from what you said na you're actually adding on to the risk. May risk na nga, and you're adding on to the risk if you go the enhanced route. That's what you said earlier,
Yeah.
right? So same sentiments. And okay.
Kaya
sige.
risk responsibly.
Risk to reward ratio.
It's all part of the game.
Yeah, it's part of the game,
Regardless.
exactly.
Alam na nila yun.
Alam niyo, pinipilit lang tayong sagutin ito eh. Joke lang sa But here's the last question. And I love this question. Honestly, I resonate with this question a lot. Because it's exactly, basahin ko na muna, baka ma-preempt. Here's a question. Considering the popularity of both natural and non-natural bodybuilding, do you believe there is a common ground where both sides can coexist without undermining each other's accomplishments? Dito tayo sa ngumingiti. What do you think?
I feel like wala eh.
Wala sa'yo. Sige, what do you think so?
Because it's totally different. Like, paano ba? You can't compare each other's achievements, like yung enhanced and the natural one. Kasi like, they're totally different. Iba yung, paano ba?
It's a different sport.
It's
Yeah, it's a totally
it's like comparing basketball to
Or like,
Paragliding.
or actually, to be a bit closer, maybe it's like softball to baseball or
Oh
something.
yeah, exactly.
Like,
I love it.
yeah.
I love that example. Softball baseball. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
So, hindi ko alam paano i-explain without,
But do you kind of medyo yung thought process niya medyo nakaka-relate ka ba, Jacob, sa ano niya?
I agree with it's a different sport and at the same time, from where I see it, wala namang divide It's its own thing. Nagkaka-divide lang naman dyan when there are other people who'll be like invading the space, for example.
other.
Yes. And it happens, I mean, naturals can go try the enhanced shows. Yun nga lang, yung enhanced shows, enhanced people, they can't really, medyo hindi naman tama if they invade or like they try to do a natural. Parang
Correct,
baboy
yeah.
naman.
Yeah,
Parang respeto naman, di ba? Medyo bastos I'm saying it like, alam mong gumamit ka and yet pinilit mo na natural ka. Parang medyo bastos talaga.
Yeah.
So, walang issues. I feel like they can coexist except for yun lang. Kasi it's usually naman there are some naturals who say like, kargado lang kasi yan, ganyan. And at the same time,
it's both sides Both sides
nag-a-attack
there are some people on both sides that are being the way that they shouldn't be. That's the biggest problem here.
And it's like that across the world. It's not just bodybuilding, it's life in general. You can
Yes.
never escape it. Diba? It's just manifested through natural, enhanced. At the end of the day, we all just like to lift. Diba?
Exactly.
Some of my best friends are enhanced, and they're some of the best guys I know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. What about you, Grant?
Yes.
Yes ka na. Yes ka na. Agree ka?
I mean, yes, but also as someone who's competed.
Yes, we can coexist.
Diba?
Basically,
Yeah,
that's
coexist.
what. Yeah.
Although, syempre, fair play pa rin.
Yes.
If you have the advantage via drug use, diba? Then that's your advantage. Just
Go ka na
that's
dyan.
that's your show there.
Yeah.
Wag mo na dayain. Like, come on, man. Like, let us naturals just enjoy our naturalness. Our lack of muscle mass occasionally.
Losing muscle mass as I continue to prep with calorie deficit.
Come on, man. Can't you see like we're shrinking here? Help us out.
Next week na pagkatapos ng competition, tsaka na tayo magkatabi ng may t-shirt pa.
Let us enjoy our 10-minute pumps.
Yeah. While you have your perpetual all-day pump.
And let me just say, like, if you're an enhanced guy joining natural or drug-tested shows, come on, that's kind of why. Like, mas mahal ang natural shows because we have to pay for drug testing,
Correct.
right? So why did they? And regardless of it, it's not like the prize money is that much in all shows.
Yeah.
across the board.
Yeah. That's true.
They really don't gain much aside from an ego.
Yeah.
Anything to add, pagdating dyan, before I give my thoughts on the question? Well, look here. So I love it. That's the athlete side, right? And I completely hear what you're saying. On my side, as someone who doesn't compete anymore, the reason why I love this question is because, last year I've seen non-natural bodybuilders or winners, bodybuilding champions. They were there during the show and they were supporting their athletes in our show, which to me, that's like, wow, that's great. Because now to me, I look at that, and this is where I do not agree with some people who say like, bakit may non-natural dito? To me, that's foolishness that's foolishness. Hindi naman siya nagko-compete Kasi, right?
Nanonood lang.
Nagko-coach lang, guys. Buti nga nandyan siya, sinusuportahan nila yung sport natin. Diba? So to me, I love that. And to me, that's where the coexisting happens. Yeah. I think if we really want, if the non-natural side and the natural side really truly want to coexist, what's important is that both sides know their responsibility, right?
Yeah.
And are also respectful and both have integrity. Exactly. Right? Kasi sa totoo lang, hindi lang ang non-naturals yung kailangan may integrity Kasi ang nangyayari dito, bakit sumasali yung non-natural sa natural? Okay, that's a lack of integrity. But on the same side, naturals have integrity also by not undermining the sport of the others. Tama na yung mga, yun, hindi yan, ano yan, kasi ganito yan, nagtitake yan.
Yeah.
Let's not, guys, come on, let's not, right? I mean,
Parang ganyan lang siya kasi kumarga yan.
yeah,
That's
which is whatever. No way. It takes way more than just using PEDs to be able to look good, and that's a fact. Every single friend that I have, every single person that I know who does that route and competes on their stage, they can't accomplish what they've accomplished if hindi pure hard work in every other aspects.
Yeah.
Right? So yes, I completely believe that we can coexist as long as we know our responsibilities, and that as long as may integrity on both sides. So, wow. Medyo mabigat ito questions na to. But I love it. And again, I want to thank Nutrition Depot for having us, NBA people, in your podcast. And I'd like to invite you to the NBA Universe 2023 happening November 11. Of course, none other than Nutrition Depot as our title sponsors. We're so excited. You're going to see everyone here, Grant, Bella, Jacob, and myself. We're going to be there, and I'm looking forward to seeing more competitors come in, both repeat competitors and first-time natural bodybuilding athletes. It's going to be an amazing show. Be part of the best natural bodybuilding show in the country. Thank you so much, and we'll see you there.